Well, if you're a consistent viewer of this channel, I'm sure you can imagine what this video is going to be like if you read that headline. So Biden White House is discussing preemptive pardons for those in Trump's crosshairs. Let's be specific about exactly who we're talking about, okay? Talking about Fauci, okay? Fauci. So Biden is considering a preemptive pardon on Anthony Fauci right now, okay? This cannot happen. I'm going to tell you that right now. We're going to look through this article. Okay, when Biden pardoned his son and essentially pardoned himself, right? Like, we know that that's about bereavement. We'll go over that again really quick just to go through how absolutely stone corrupt this is. But to pardon Fauci is beyond the pale. Okay, I'm telling you right now, I have not read this yet. I just saw the headline. My buddy Drew told me that he's talking about pardoning Fauci, and so I just saw this. The nomination. Like I Googled pardon Fauci for 100% sure that is what he's talking about here. Like, what are you pardoning him for? Like, what's the pardon for? I thought he's the hero of the United States. Why would you need to pardon him? He hasn't been indicted for anything. He hasn't been implicated in anything, right? It's not like he illegally funded gain-of-function research in China, violated. It's not like this guy committed a global crime, the likes of which we've never seen in human history. Assuming that maybe he did do that. It's not like we have a new head of the Department of Health who has been targeting this guy for 40 years. It's not like that guy wrote a book specifically about all of his crimes. Why on earth would that guy deserve a pardon? Explain that to me. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Feel free to subscribe to the channel if you guys want to help the channel out, and like this video if you agree that this would be one of the most egregious, assaults on freedom and justice. Like, this is if he does this, dude. Okay, Biden White House is discussing preemptive pardons for those in Trump's crosshairs. The nomination of Kash Patel, who has vowed to pursue Trump's critics, okay, as FBI director, has heightened concerns within the president's inner circle. President Joe Biden's senior aides are conducting a vigorous internal debate over whether to issue preemptive pardons to a range of current and former public officials who could be targeted with President-elect Donald Trump's return to the White House, according to senior Democrats familiar with the discussions. Biden's aides are deeply concerned about a range of current and former officials who could find themselves facing inquiries and even indictments, a sense of alarm which has only accelerated since Trump last weekend announced the appointment of Kash Patel to lead the FBI. Patel has publicly vowed to pursue Trump's critics. His critics. Really? So I just want to make sure that I don't understand this, okay? So you're not going to respect the fact that Trump is the former president and not allow them to indict him in all these different absolutely concocted nonsensical cases, right? So Trump's the president. He ends up out of office. You allow New York to crack him for what? Like, let me just see this real quick. E. Jean Carroll judgment. Okay, what was the judgment amount? Okay, so no, it's not 5 million. It was some, $83 million. $83 million because this psycho who is 100% lying and everyone knows it. $83 million. Okay. Then you allowed the New York to take a case where Trump borrowed money from a bank against his assets, which are real estate, and then pretend that it's a crime for him to inflate the value of the assets. That's what you do. You say, hey, bank, this is what my building is worth. And then the bank makes a decision on whether to loan the money or not. They can go verify the value of the buildings if they want. And then they can come back and say, well, your loan to value is actually this interest rate. Okay. I'm actually going to go through this really quickly just so that people understand how egregiously unjust this was. Okay. So let's say you own a building that is worth $100 million and you say, I want to borrow $40 million and you're going to use that as collateral. Okay. Let's say it's completely paid off. So you got a $100 million building. You go to the bank and you say, this building is worth $100 million. I'm borrowing $40 million. So your loan to value is 40% because $40 million is 40% of your value. Okay. Now, your interest rate is going to be based on the loan to value. The lower the loan to value, the lower the risk to the bank. So they're like, let's say, okay, we'll give you this loan and we'll do it at 4%. Okay, great, cool. So what they're saying is that Trump said it was worth $100 million when it was actually worth $75 million, right? Like, oh, it was actually worth $75 million. Okay, well, what? You don't have fucking appraisers? You're a bank. You don't have appraisers. You can't go out and appraise the building. So Trump inflated the value. Here's the funniest thing about it. Hey, what was the state of the loan at the time that they cracked him for $550 million in fines for this? Okay, it was paid off. So they loaned Trump the money. Trump paid off the money. No one owes any money. The bank made their money. Trump made his money. Everything is paid off. And they used that transaction, a transaction like that, to stick a $550 million judgment against Donald Trump. A complete non-crime, pretended to be a crime. They were going to take Mar-a-Lago. They were going to take Trump Tower. They were going to destroy him financially. And then they were going to use this nonsense other case to throw him in prison. Where's the pardon there, dude? Oh, no pardons for Trump? Like you're going to actually put him in jail for that? You're going to destroy him financially and then throw him in jail? And then you're going to pardon Fauci? The White House officials, however, are carefully weighing the extraordinary step of handing out blanket pardons to those who've committed no crimes, both because it could suggest impropriety, you think, only fueling Trump's criticisms, and because those offered preemptive pardons may reject them. Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, fucking right. Fauci's going to reject a pardon with RFK coming in. They're going to bury him, and he deserves it. He should go to prison. The deliberations touch on pardoning those currently in office, elected and appointed, as well as former officials who've angered Trump and his loyalists. What? This is Politico. Politico, you are trash, dude. This is a trash article from a trash journalistic outlet. Okay? They're not talking about prosecuting his critics. They're talking about prosecuting fucking criminals, dude. Okay, those who could face exposure include such members of Congress as January 6th and Senator-elect Adam Schiff, former GOP rep Liz Cheney of Wyoming. This is all nonsense, okay? This is all a smokescreen for pardoning Fauci, okay? Trump previously said Cheney should go to jail along with the rest of the unselect committee. Also mentioned by Biden's aides for a pardon is Anthony Fauci, the former head of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, who became a lightning rod for criticism from the right during the pandemic. Okay, so I'm telling you right now, okay, all of this is a smokescreen. He's going to hand out blanket pardons, and all of it is actually about Fauci because Fauci is actually an arch criminal who has been doing the bidding of the pharmaceutical companies for 40 years. Longer. The West Wing deliberations have been organized by White House counsel and Siskel, but include a range of other aides, including Chief of Staff Jeff Zients, the president himself, who was intensely focused on his son's pardon, has not been brought into the broader pardon discussions yet, according to people familiar with the deliberations. The conversations were spurred by Trump's repeated threats and quiet lobbying by congressional Democrats, though not by those seeking pardons themselves. The beneficiaries know nothing. One well-connected Democrat told me of who would receive pardons. Yeah, right. Yeah, fucking right. I'm sure Fauci's definitely not involved in this, dude. Okay. Biden's ultimate decision, though, could prove just as consequential as some of the country's most high-profile public officials as his choice to pardon his son. Listen, if he does this, I am going to take my stance that we should be careful about who we prosecute, and I'm going to put that out the window, and I want you to burn them all. Burn them to the fucking ground. Prosecute everyone. IRS, audit all of them. Every single possible legal repercussion that you could throw at these people, bombard them with them. Okay? This is war as far as I'm concerned. If they actually pardon Fauci, unacceptable, dude. White House spokesperson declined to comment on, but did not deny the discussion. So what that means is they are planning to do it, and they're putting this out there right now to see how the public reacts. Okay? So I cannot stress this enough. You need to get on social media, and you need to start screaming about this. You need to scream that if Fauci gets a pardon before RFK gets in office, that this will not stand. That just be like, burn all of them to the ground, then take all decorum away that we expected from them that they did not deliver. They did the opposite, okay? They took our guy and they tried to destroy his life, take all of his money, put him in prison, okay? And I said that was a bad move. I said that's terrible. It's a terrible move, not just because I like him, but because it's wrong. But this, Fauci, what do you think RFK is doing there? Yeah, he's going to make America healthy again, and he's going to put the appropriate people in prison. A pardon for Fauci, which is, I mean, anybody who's been following this knows this guy committed crimes that we absolutely know about for 100% sure. He's caught. The only reason he hasn't been burned to the ground now is he's being protected by the DOJ, and the mainstream media is still protecting him, even though we know that he got all of the scientists together. You know what? I'm not even going to say it. Why don't you guys go watch the documentary, Thank You, Anthony Fauci, or feel free to read the book, The Real Anthony Fauci, written by RFK, because that is going to make you go, holy, this guy gets a pardon? This guy? That the conversations are taking place at all reflects the growing anxieties among high-level Democrats about just how far Trump reprisals could go once he reclaims power. Well, Fauci, I hope as far as they can possibly go. The remarkable 11-year breadth of Biden's pardon for his son, Hunter, illustrated how worried the White House is about Trump officials seizing any potential openings. Oh, no. Oh, you don't think that it has to do with the fact that the Ukraine thing with Burisma started exactly when he started the pardon? You fucking hacks, Politico. You hacks. He pardoned himself with that because he knows he's dirty. He knows he's caught. He knows his son is caught. He's dirty all the way back to 2014. He gave him a blanket pardon. You think we don't know what you did? And honestly, I didn't even care about that. I honestly didn't even care about that. But Fauci, that is a completely different ballgame, dude. At issue, to repurpose a phrase, is whether to take Trump seriously and literally when it comes to his prospective revenge tour against Democrats and others in the so-called deep state who have raised out. Yeah, the so-called deep state, the deep state. End of administration pardons are always politically fraught, but President Bush intervention to spare former Defense Secretary Casper Weinberg and Bill Clinton's pardon of financier donor Mark Rich seem quaint compared to with what Biden officials are grappling with as Trump returns to the presidency with lieutenants plotting tribunals against adversaries. Listen, if they actually do this, they will never win another election. I mean, like, I can't imagine a world where a single person who understands what is going on is going to stand for them. And that was before, and that was before the president pardoned his son, infuriating many of his own party already angry at Biden for insisting on running for re-election as he neared 82. Now Biden's aides must also consider whether they should offer the same legal inoculation to public officials who have attracted the ire of Trump and supporters. If they pardon him, I mean... Okay, I want to read this quote. If it's clear that January 19th, that revenge is his intention, then I would recommend to President Biden that he provide these preemptive pardons to people because that's really what our country is going to need next year. What a joke, dude. What a joke. This is no hypothetical threat, Boyle said. This time for cautious restraint is over. We must act with urgency to push back against these threats and prevent Trump from abusing his power. Abusing his power. When you're talking about Anthony Fauci abusing his power. Hey, pot, you're black. You know what I mean? Pot, that's not the pot calling the kettle black is not even in the stratosphere of strong enough to discuss like what this is. This is corruption that cannot stand, dude. Everyone needs to get out and start talking about this. Cheney and Fauci did not respond to requests for comment. Wait a minute. Adam Schiff is saying to not do it. Who would have believed that, dude? Adam Schiff is like, okay, look, other lawmakers I'm told have been just as emphatic in private with Biden's aides in calling for. However, some congressional Democrats, including those who may be in Trump's political crosshairs, are uneasy about the idea of being granted a pardon they're not seeking. I would urge the president not to do that, Schiff said. I think it would seem defensive and unnecessary. Right, because Adam Schiff doesn't need one. He's an asshole, but he doesn't need a presidential pardon. Some senior Democrats I spoke with, however, wonder how many of those facing retribution are adopting a version of the no vote no hope yes mantra that often surrounds difficult legislative votes, which is to say some may publicly oppose preemptive pardons for reasons of innocence or precedence while privately hoping for the president's legal protection. Now, Schiff does... I want to see how many times they talked about Fauci on here, because this is all about Fauci. Twice. Only twice. That's funny, dude. That's funny, man. Let's just see what... So when you Google Anthony Fauci as a criminal, nothing comes up, which is amazing. Marjorie Taylor Greene says you belong in prison, Dr. Fauci. Yeah. She said you should be prosecuted for crimes against humanity. Again, if you guys think that I'm out of sorts here, I cannot stress enough. You need to read the book, The Real Anthony Fauci, or listen to the audiobook. Okay? As director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, Dr. Anthony Fauci dispenses $6.1 billion in annual taxpayer-provided funding for rigged scientific research, allowing him to dictate the subject, content, and outcome of scientific health research across the globe. Truly a dark agenda. Fauci uses the financial clout at his disposal in a backhanded manner to wield extraordinary influence over hospitals, universities, journals, and thousands of influential doctors and scientists whose careers and institutions he had the power to ruin, advance, or reward in an authoritarian manner. During more than a year of painstaking and meticulous research on his laptop and through interviews, RFK Jr. unearthed a shocking story that obliterates media spin on Dr. Fauci and will alarm every American, Republican or Democrat, who cares about democracy or our Constitution and the future of children's health. The Real Anthony Fauci reveals how America's doctor launched his career during the early AIDS crisis by partnering with pharmaceutical companies to sabotage safe and effective off-patent therapeutic treatment for AIDS. Fauci orchestrated fraudulent do-nothing studies and then pressured U.S. Food and Drug Administration regulators into approving a deadly chemotherapy treatment he had good reason to know was worthless against AIDS. Fauci did the unthinkable and repeatedly violated federal laws to allow his pharma partners to use impoverished and dark-skinned children as lab rats in beyond order, deadly experiments with toxic AIDS and cancer chemotherapies. In early 2000, Fauci shook hands with Bill Gates in the library of the Gates' $147 million Seattle mansion, cementing a partnership that would aim to control an increasingly profitable $60 billion global vax enterprise with unlimited growth potential. Unbelievable, man. This can't happen.